before we actually jump into the technicalities of like what we are offering here, I would love to share some bits and pieces around it. That the different tracks which we have for this ETH Global New Delhi Hackathon are, the first one is like Filecoin, which gives you a chance to hack for a bounty price of like 5,000. And then we also have like Akave and Lighthouse, which equally contributes to $2,500, contributing to the total price pool of like $10,000. So if you're hacking in any like maybe AI space, gaming sector, or a DeFi space, and if you are looking out for a decentralized storage, so definitely this is your thing to use. So talking about like the sovereign cloud is going to come very soon, and how is like the decentralized space looking after it, and what exactly like Filecoin is trying to bring along is something that we are trying to discuss today. So myself, Rish, I'm developer advocate at Philby. I have been into the Web3 space since past like few years and have roughly won around like 20 plus hackathons. So, like I have been like seeing the side of the ones which you are sitting at the moment, and now currently on the other side of the table. So we have been trying to make things very, very simpler for you from the perspective of building and hacking on top of Filecoin, Akave, or Lighthouse. So yeah, I'll just quickly go through this. How many of you maybe have experienced this? Like, this is a nightmare for most of the devs out there, as well as maybe your team leaders or managers, that if you turn on your like EC2 instance, it just the building gets on and on and on and on. So right, so that's one interesting thing. So what's the vision of like Filecoin Onchain Cloud is like, we are trying to build a programmable marketplace for on-chain cloud services. So there would be like various sections which are coming under on-chain cloud service. Will detailed discussion will do it here. So when we talk about like cloud in general, like there are four major aspects. The first one is storage offerings. The next one is the retrieval services. And the third one is compute and AI infrastructure. And lastly, if we see the decentralized angle of it, it's going to be the DePIN, right? So these are the four pieces which have been like into the space since past like few years, as well as like it's buzzing at the moment. And with the rise of AI, this is the need of an hour. So currently we are focusing on like storage, and we are starting with the storage layer initially. And for that, we are coming up with Filecoin Onchain Cloud. Now you might be wondering like how actually you can, integrate this or build on top of it, right? So yeah, another meme for you. So moving on towards the next thing is like, what makes us actually think about the requirement of like Filecoin Onchain Cloud. The first thing is like we started from the very basic distributed or decentralized storage solution. We started with like IPFS, but then we thought of like there's no, it doesn't have, it lacks like somewhere the reliable as like a decentralized solution, right? So it lacked somewhere, and then we tried to create the layer 0, that is the Filecoin layer, which is the cold storage layer, that is like Filecoin initially. Then like couple of years back we launched like FVM, which is the like EVM compatible chain, which allows you to write down smart contracts, do all the activities which you can do on any other like EVM ecosystem chain. You can do that on like FVM as well. And lastly, now we are talking about like layer 2+, wherein we'll be discussing around like the revival of Filecoin around like Filecoin Onchain Cloud. So it would be like a combination of performant like dApps with decentralized storage, and also the four sections which you just talked about, the compute, the DePIN layer, as well as the retrieval layer. So we are seeking solutions around this particular thing, that how can you make use of this infra which we are providing to you, and you can directly store the data onto the Filecoin using just another JavaScript SDK. Right. So that was like quite a long of like historical journey of like Filecoin. But if we talk about like stats, we have a heck amount of like total storage capacity, and almost like 1/3 part of the total storage is now completely full. And there are some marketing stats maybe you might be able to see, and that's where like currently Filecoin is standing. So what are the tech stack that are involved in Filecoin Onchain Cloud? starting with the client layer, which is something that I just mentioned, the JavaScript TypeScript SDK, the developer SDK, which we can directly use. But beneath that, there are some layers that are equally important. So if you try to find out from the architecture perspective, there are like services layer, which brings in the modular services to integrate all the storage providers, bound them together. And the next one is like payment layer. So we recently launched a stablecoin on Filecoin. So all the payment part for this particular like on-chain cloud, they are backed by this stablecoin payment. So you don't need to really worry about the price inflation or whether it's like pumping or dumping. But since it's backed by the stablecoin layer, it makes your end user to pay very, very smoothly. And lastly, we have proof layer, which have been there with Filecoin since years, and that's where the cryptographic storage proofs that are powered by PDP. Now, so these are some of the things, like we initially started with cold storage layer, but now we are talking about like warm storage object, which is the Filecoin warm storage services, and then content CDN network, that is Filecoin Beam. I'll show you as an example like how does data looks like on like when it gets stored onto the file CDN, and then like I just mentioned that you can now make the payments to store the data on Filecoin using stablecoin. So that is nothing but USDFC, and finally like you can have the native payments as well. So it depends upon use case that whether you want to like have it in the native currency or whether you want to focus on like USDFC. I recently also learned from Lighthouse that they're also coming up with some sort of like DataCoin. So maybe you might want to also look into it and maybe see some sort of integration happening there. So now this is one of the image that's stored on for like Filecoin CDN. So if you see like there's a hash value and then and domain that is like brings out to be the Filecoin CDN.io, and lastly there's the whatever the abstract like letters you are seeing like BAF, and there would like some series of like abstract letters, that's nothing but like the content identity for your file. So it would now you would be able to actually see the cryptographic proof attached with the content identifier, and that's you can have a truly in sense of like verifiable storage, and that's completely on-chain with Filecoin Onchain Cloud services. So these are some stats which we have, like the borrowing fee, the TVL, the troves, the USDC supply which is there at the moment, and what's the stability pool. So I guess like these stats are more than enough to tell you like how mature the ecosystem has been so far and where we are progressing further. So some like modularity, like what are the different like portions that are involved in Filecoin warm storage services. So like I just mentioned, like the major part of this is like Filecoin brings in the entire like storage aspect, but now with the introduction of like USDFC, you also have the payment layer integrated with that. So you really don't need to worry about any other payment methodology. You can have everything in a single SDK, and that's named as like Synapse SDK. So if you quickly want to go, build using Synapse SDK, this is the one-stop destination. Everything right from like the storage resources to the starter kits, and also the request for startup like edition for like Synapse SDK. So if you are still looking out for ideas, you might want to have a look. We are like looking out for ideas that are around like AI. Maybe if you want to build maybe a decentralized version of TikTok or Instagram Reels for that matter, you can also build that, and that would be some interesting use cases that we are looking after. So the official launch of like Filecoin Onchain Cloud is going to happen at like Devconnect. So if you would be around, we'll definitely love to see you. And the projects that are going to build out here for this particular hackathon, maybe we'll have a demo day scheduled at like Devconnect, and we'll be inviting you out there to demo at our event there. So super excited to see like what projects are going to come, but there's a lot more here with apart from like in the ecosystem of Filecoin. So we'll learn from them. So if you want to get early access for this before the launch, just scan this QR code, just fill out the form, and you should have the early access straight away. Alright, so moving towards the next part, we have Lighthouse, wherein we would be discussing about how do we tokenize the data economy.
Hello guys, my name is Parv and I am the smart contract lead at Lighthouse, and today we will be looking at the very new feature of Lighthouse we have introduced to monetize our data, which is getting monetized by big companies and not the generator of the data. So let's look into the new features. First of all, I'll give an intro about Lighthouse. So Lighthouse is our decentralized storage protocol powered by Filecoin and IPFS. So we provide a feature, something which most of the traditional storage providers are not providing, which is a pay once and store forever model. Every other cloud platform, you have to pay rents every month or every year. So with Lighthouse, the most important feature is you can pay once and store forever, and there's a lot. Let's see. So what are the current problems? First of all, high costs. I just said we have to pay every month or every year. Secondly, there is lack of security. We never know our data can be breached anytime. And thirdly, all the data is fragmented across different networks, and all the tools around data, which is like uploading or retrievability, that are also fragmented across the space. So how Lighthouse solves this? So first of all, we have the permanent storage where you can just pay once, and we have introduced the concept of endowment pool where your one-time payment is going in directly into the endowment pool, and endowment pool is funding the renewal of Filecoin deals. So your data will be stored forever because endowment pool is also connected to DeFi services, and the pool is growing at its own. Secondly, we have access control. So we have developed Kavach SDK, which provide the upload encrypt, which is which at the core is the BLS threshold cryptography. So we can use access control, and then we have one SDK which provide the upload features, token gating, which can be done with encrypt upload and retrievability as well. And the most important feature which I am excited about right now is our DataCoin feature, which is also in the SDK. So yeah, our encryption is powered by BLS threshold cryptography. It is chain agnostic, and any chain can work, and we can build token gated applications like if someone is having particular NFT, then only he can be able to access that data, things like that. So Lighthouse ecosystem powers projects in many domains like AI, NFTs, DePIN. You can see all the projects, and if you are building around these domains and across these domains as well, you can easily integrate Lighthouse, and you can get more information on how these projects are integrating us at the Filecoin booth where Lighthouse devs will be present. So this is the moment. This is where we have introduced the new feature where we are tokenizing the data set and creating an economy around it, so that everyone who is generating data is also getting incentivized if that data is generating revenue. So the name of the platform is 1mb.io. I'll show you, give a quick walk around. So you can see that this is the landing page, and it's very easy to create your DataCoin. You just have to connect your wallet and go to the create DataCoin section. I'll give you the walkthrough through our docs. So from the docs, you can get to know about other functionalities as well, like upload, encrypt upload, and retrievability, etc. But here at the create a data coin section, you can know about the creation of data coins and how you can integrate it and create innovative applications to use these features. So you have to just go to the 1mb.io, connect your wallet, and click on the create data coin. Then you have to fill some personal information like name of your token, symbol of your token, some icon images and all, and website link which will be the link of your application that will be integrating the data coin. And we have less time, so we'll quickly go to the end. So you can for data coin, we are providing perpetual storage at the core. On top of it, we have DataCoin infrastructure, and then you can build your applications. And the potential ideas that can be used are creating some Uber DAO or Zomato DAO, where you can incentivize people to contribute their data, and they will be getting data coins which you have launched. And that's it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Abhay Upadhyay, software engineer at Akave, and today let's talk about adaptability in decentralized storage ecosystem. So as an ecosystem, we are building a lot of stuff. Like we focus on innovation, but what about adaptability? When it comes to adaptability, it's so hard to integrate the current solutions that the enterprise on the enterprise level. It doesn't make sense. The cost doesn't make sense. The complexity doesn't make sense to integrate with the current decentralized storage or anything decentralized for that matter. So let's see how we can move from Web 2 to Web 3, still uh, maintaining the usability that's provided by the Web 2. Okay, so that's what Akave offers. Our main focus is on adaptability. So we offer a S3 compatible uh, endpoints. So as you all are already aware that AWS S3 object storage, Akave offers compatibility with AWS S3 storage, so you don't have to change anything in your code base or uh, update anything for that matter. Just use the endpoint URL of Akave and credentials that we provide you, and it's as easy as that to migrate from traditional cloud to decentralized cloud. And also we charge no egress fees when compared to centralized cloud infrastructure, so you end up saving around 80% of cost, and it is immutable by default. And versioning is also enabled by default, so it is mutable, but it just creates a new version of your data, and yeah, basically the data remains immutable. Yeah, charging is low, never mind. Okay, and user encryption. So every data is connected to a wallet, so your AI agent can easily access your data and encrypt your data basically. Let's move ahead. This is one of the example how you would use an S3 compatible API. So let's say you want to migrate from AWS to decentralized storage, that is Akave. So how would you do that? So there's a tool called rclone, that is a replication and migration tool. We've already tested it. We have videos on our YouTube channel. You can go take a look at it. So as Akave is S3 compatible and AWS obviously, so you can configure both of them in rclone and migrate your data from AWS to Akave S3. Now let's zoom in into that. How does that happen exactly? So Akave S3 is built on top of Akave SDK. That is our network layer in Akave SDK. When you store a data, it goes the metadata itself goes through the immutable ledger, and the data itself goes to the Akave node, and it's being stored in a decentralized manner. Let's take a look at it more. Okay, so on client side, when you upload your data is split into 32 megabits chunks, and each chunks is separated into data blocks. Now, why do we separate into data blocks? We'll talk about it further. Now, this encryption is done with private key or encryption key that you provide. And by the way, all this is done client side, so no node or no service knows that you are doing this, so you can protect your data. Then this data along with data blocks, parity blocks are generated. These parity blocks are generated using Reed-Solomon erasure coding algorithm, and these are distributed among the Akave nodes. So why use erasure coding? So in future, we are imagining a future where this is a permissionless network, and if more nodes come in, we have to account for the error, right? If some nodes do go down, we can recover those. We can recover your file using Reed-Solomon recovery algorithm, that is a erasure code recovery. So all in all, your data is very redundant and secure. So no fear of losing your data, and data is encrypted throughout this flow. So let's talk about bounty during ETH Global. We have one bounty, a big bounty, that is $2,500. Now, to be eligible for the bounty, you have to lie among one of these tracks, that is AI/ML datasets and checkpoints. For example, if you are training or retraining, fine-tuning your AI or model basically, you can store the dataset on Akave, store the checkpoints on Akave, cross-cloud analytics, external tables, that is using Snowflake along with Akave O3. Then Iceberg Lakehouse, basically creating data lakes using Akave O3. Edge DePIN ingest using Akave with any DePIN compute protocol, and immutable backup and data recovery. So these are all pretty data niche categories, but they can be used along with your dApp. So if you have any questions how to integrate and fit among these tracks, you can come to our booth, that is Filecoin booth. Will be there hopefully throughout the night if I can make it. Okay, so there's no time for the demo, but if you scan this QR code, you'll land on the YouTube video that we did demo for the ETH Global New Delhi. And if you have any question, do come to us. Okay. Okay, now to get your O3 credentials that I just mentioned, you need to go to our Telegram. There is a topic called ETH Global New Delhi. Request credentials from us and I'll share that to you. Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, there's no time for questions, but come to our booth again. Just, yeah, meet me there. Thank you.